guys? Welcome to another Hoops Lounge Hangout. Today we have a big show for you guys, including the Andrew Bynum saga. We have the Naismith moment in the post, what's coming up, fan question of the week, and much more. As always, joined by myself, Phil Boileau. You can catch me on Twitter and Facebook, Sporting Phil. Always joined by my two co-hosts. First, Mr. Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark. You ever have a girlfriend turn your life upside down? Larry Bird, I introduce you to Andrew Bynum.
I think this will be a hot subject coming up for a lot of us. And the third tri-host, co-host, I still don't have the word for it, Mr. Mota.
Hey, what's up, guys? Have you ever heard of a guy called Joe Johnson? Yeah, I think he's an all-star, but you know what? Too bad.
So I'm hearing a lot of bitterness here in the intros of this week's Hoops Lounge Hangout. So our main subject today will be Andrew Bynum. For those who've been living under a rock, he has now signed with the Indiana Pacers. Andrew Bynum, a former world champion with the Los Angeles Lakers. I think he was considered like the number two center in the league for a while there, right behind Dwight Howard. Now he's gone to the Pacers, playing behind Roy Hibbert. Should be the top two, centers in the league, best tandem, but not everyone agrees. Mark, I know you've been giving a lot of nays to this signing. $1 million for a former All-Star seems like a good deal. Why don't you see this working?
Well, I mean, I'm befuddled. I think Larry Bird is one of the smartest people in basketball, and he already has probably the deepest front court in the league. They've got the best team in the East. And it seems like all of a sudden they're backpedaling and maybe signing a guy so that Miami doesn't sign them. I don't see this as in the nature of Indiana basketball. And the man has played for 5 teams in 2 years. 5 teams in 2 years. There's nothing good about that at all. I just seeing the stuff that I have to. This made me laugh, guys. I'm going to read this to you because it made me laugh outside. This is what Larry Bird said the other day. Now, Andrew Bynum's had a history of health problems the last few years. Bird said that Bynum did not take a physical before signing with the Pacers.
Oh,
so, no way.
Oh, my God.
Really?
Yeah. And so,
are they the 76ers? Like, what are they doing here?
Yeah, so they're rolling with the punches, and this is not the team that rolls with the punches. I just see this as being a chaos entering into a very well-fitting system, and I think it can really tear these guys to pieces, to be honest. So I'm really worried about this one.
Yeah, but it's the Pacers. Oh my God, I can't believe. I still can't believe what I just heard. But the Pacers did everything to keep Bynum from the Miami Heat. It's if Andrew Bynum was Charles Barkley and they told him, okay, you need to sign Charles Barkley because he's going to sign for the Miami Heat because this is going to take you to the finals, then they would have signed him. They would sign everybody if they wanted to, just to keep them off the Miami Heat's hand. So, but there are other factors for signing Bynum, which is, for starters, it's a lot of body and a lot of more depth. But I still don't know what they're doing. I mean, they were on a roll. They have good chemistry, and then you bring this. I'm not gonna. I don't want to predict anything, but this guy has a history of being a troublemaker in the locker room. So I don't know how's that gonna help in a good team with a good chemistry like the Pacers. So what do you think, Phil?
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, as I always seem to. I don't know. Like, to me, it's a talent. He's a very talented center. He's not going to be expected to play a lot, right? He's going to play behind Roy Hibbert. So maybe this allows Hibbert to stay fresh for the playoffs also. If Bynum can come back, I mean, he's a low cost. He's $1 million. And you were saying they have a lot of bigs. But their main advantage is that center position. Guys like Luis Scola, Copeland, and David West, while they're good for a power forward, they're a little bit undersized for a center. So they had... Well, they had Mahinmi backing up Hibbert.
Yeah,
and
exactly. That you forgot about him because this guy has been putting good numbers. Even though
he's good, but he's not Andrew Bynum good. I'm like, look, if you look at a best case scenario with this, they're always at every point, unless they want to go small ball, going to have a legit starting center, and that was their whole thing. So if you want to play against Miami, I totally agree with you guys. I think it was a block, so Miami didn't get to pick. Is Greg Oden healthy enough? Should we have him? Because I think if Indiana didn't, I think Miami would have just taken him, just for that shot. But at the same point, this gives them serious depth at every position, allows them to go big, small, and And while he didn't go for a physical, he did have interviews with the Pacers brass, and so I think he would have had to buy in at a certain point to their system. Now, I've been hearing that the Pacers players aren't 100% sold on this, which is pretty indicative of chemistry, like Mark mentioned. You know, like teams that have good chemistry, they don't tend to want to just bring guys in, especially if you're winning. Like, if they had great chemistry but they were losing, they'd be like, yeah, we need talent. But if you're the best team in the league, why are you messing with this, right?
Okay, so can we rewind this just a little bit when you said that Bynum is a little bit better than Miami? I just have a question.
If he's healthy, I'll totally give it to him.
No. Answer this question. Answer this question to me. Answer this question. In the past 3 years, who played more? Who has more momentum? Who knows the system better?
Well, according to that theory, we should be giving an All-Star spot to Aaron Gray. He's been playing steadily. He hasn't been good, but he's been playing steadily.
At least he didn't break his ankle going bowling.
Look. Obviously, he's an injury waiting to happen, but it's a low risk, right? Look, if he gets injured, fine. You're at the same spot you were. If he's a cancer in the locker room, you just kick him out. You don't really need him. So if any of that happens, like I guarantee you, he's on a short leash right now. Like, sure, they signed him, but if he does anything wrong, for sure, they're not going to let this fester. He's going to be gone really quick.
Well, let me speak to that for a minute because, I mean, look at Miami, how they signed Michael Beasley and Birdman over the last few years. One thing that separates Miami from Indiana is that they have veteran core. These guys have been in the league 10, 15 years who can say, you know, we're not going to tolerate this at all. Whereas if you look at the Pacers, they got David West. That's it. Scola isn't a talker. He's not that type of thing. So David West is going to have to play babysitter for this guy. You know, and he doesn't want to. You know what? When he was asked about this trade, he said, go talk to Larry. Go talk to Coach. The same thing. George Hill said the same thing. And when Paul George was asked about it, he said the word if. He said the word gamble. So this is a really big gamble for a team that does not need to be taking gambles right now.
Yeah, especially when you're a team that is stacked with centers and power forwards. You bring in another center, everybody's going to be trying to get that one last spot, and it's just going to kill the chemistry, I think.
But they're not centers. Like they have Hibbert, which as a big center, you traditionally don't play a guy like that 40 minutes.
When you look at the East, they have the biggest guys in their front court. So they have enough of front court players. I don't see if you wanted to sign a guy, just sign another point guard or something because they're still lacking on that end, but not a big guy. I mean, what is he doing?
It was such low risk. This is Andrew Bynum, a former All-Star for $1 million. I mean, he literally, like I agree with you. If things go bad, you have to cut ties, and that could risk ruining chemistry. I get you, but I'm just saying I think the potential is too high because if he says, you know what, I'm going to man up for this year. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to play my 10, 15 minutes a game, and I'm going to play for my next contract. A motivated Bynum as a backup center. It's destructive because then, as I said, I think the biggest key here is you can allow Hibbert to play those like reduced minutes like he would have in San Antonio. You know, he can play his 30 minutes a game, then play in the playoffs. I really think that's the whole point. I think they're saying, hey, Bynum, this is a trade-off. It allows us to rest our star, and it allows you to showcase your talents for your next contract. He's in a contract year, right? He signed a one-year deal.
The only logical explanation to this is last year, Miami managed to win against the Pacers because they put Roy Hibbert in foul trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Now adding Bynum to it, they have two more guys to replace him with. So they have in total 18 fouls to give to the Heat for Hibbert. So because they have Miami, Bynum, and Roy Hibbert, so they have 18 fouls to give, so they can foul a lot LeBron every time he's going to go to the basket, which is good.
And foul hard, too. Those are a lot of strong guys.
Exactly. So that's for me. Maybe that's the only logical explanation. But then there's so many other factors that you have to take into account that for a winning team that is on a roll and it's in the momentum and you can feel that they're ready for the playoffs. They've been there. They want it so badly. You don't want to bring another guy in just because he's going to just be the new guy on the block and nobody's going to get along with him.
Okay, so you're calling this a bad signing then?
I'm calling this a bad signing, yes, because I was a big fan of Bynum when he was with the Lakers because I believed that he was better than Dwight Howard when everybody was saying Dwight Howard is the best center.
Yeah.
but in the past 3 years, I'm just in awe with all what he has been doing. He's not professional. You can totally see that he just came out of high school, and he did. So that's my issue with him.
And Mark, do you see this as a good or bad signing overall?
I see it as a horrible signing.
Horrible. Wow. Well, Mark, you mentioned something interesting yesterday on Twitter. I'm going to call you out a bit. This is having to do with the Toronto Raptors, how this could benefit them. Do you mind elaborating a bit on that one? Because I think this hurts the Raptors. Because even if the Pacers bench all their starters, they're still going to kill them.
Yeah,
I hate to be Valanciunas having to go against those two guys.
No, I believe in the domino effect. They say it just takes one rotten apple to ruin a barrel. This could, look what happened in Cleveland. I mean, I just see him. This could be disastrous for what's really a humming system right now. I could see this team just kind of falling apart at the core if this guy gets into a really bad run. I mean, like I said, 5 teams in 2 years. Who else has done that? There's a reason behind that, and I don't want to see this Pacer team fall apart. They're a great rival for Miami, and I want to see this team grow and grow. So I'm just really concerned, and I don't see Bird making this move. So I'm really befuddled here.
Well, I'm actually a little more befuddled that he didn't land in OKC, to be honest. I thought that was a bit better of a fit, needing that center. But I don't know. I think, as I said, it's a high reward, low risk move that I think he's on like the shortest of leashes that are possible. Like I think if Larry Bird sees anything or hears anything that goes along with what you just said, I think he's gone. I don't think he's going to get a week to play. I think all of his tenure is going to be based on his chemistry, less so on his playing. I don't know. So we'll have to see. So, I mean, but if he stays, right, it's a good team that just got better. And if he turns into Andrew Bynum of the last 2 years, well, it's more interesting news, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, lots to talk about. Now, in terms of does this? Okay, let's just say it works out. Are they the #1 contender this year?
If it works out, I don't think it will. But if it works out, hell yeah.
If it works out, they're definitely contender. There's no way any other team.
No, the #1 contender, because they were contenders already. But I'm just saying, if it works out, does this vault them ahead of every team in the West and neck with Miami, or a bit above?
Ooh, #1 contender? No. I'm still gonna go with the Spurs. I don't know why, but I'm still gonna go with the Spurs. Better than the Pacers. But
I think there's this weird part in the back of my head who actually thought the Spurs would have been a good team for Bynum.
Yeah, I do too.
I agree. Coaching.
You have these veterans that will just put him in his place. And,
well, that's it, and that's the whole point. Because if he can be healthy and even produce a bit, him and Tim Duncan's nice, right? But that's an afterthought. He's going to be with Indiana this year. Okay, so before we move on to our next section here, I want your guys' predictions. Does Andrew Bynum play his way into a good contract next year, or play his way into being like a veterans minimum backup center for the rest of his career?
Well, I have to live by what I said in our first show of the year. I still think Greg Oden's going to play. Greg Oden's going to play more games than Andrew Bynum this year.
I'm going for Greg Oden. I'm not. He's gonna.
I'm a big Greg Oden fan too, but I think Bynum's going to get more minutes than Oden. But
Andrew Bynum didn't pass his test, his physical, so I don't think he's going to play that much.
We'll see. Although I agree with you, Mark, I actually really like the Pacers have turned into like kind of that feel-good team, because they're you can tell the chemistry, but they're also kind of old school. They're very rough and tumble, very tough Pistons kind of old school team, and they can just get you on so many levels. And the thing that really sticks out to me is there's a lot of feel-good stories. Roy Hibbert continuing from last year, Paul George turning into a superstar this year, but the one story that makes me feel good is Lance Stevenson. And I mean, and they have to keep this guy. I mean, he's not one of those like whatever players anymore. He's legitimate. Like, if he's your third best player and giving you a triple-double almost every night, you're pretty happy with this guy.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I mean, I think they're going to lose a lot of guys in the offseason. Granger, there's no way they can keep him because they're going to have to transfer that money to Stevenson. But we'll see what happens. All right, Mark, we've been going back and forth on that one. What do you have this week for us in your Naismith moment?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to do a quick rewind before I get to this week because I spoke about Tyler Ennis about a month ago and compared him to Jason Kidd. And in the interim, our friend Dwayne Watson pointed out to me that, in fact, Tyler Ennis had modeled his game after Jason Kidd growing up. So that makes a lot of sense. And as well, yesterday on national TV, Dick Vitale compared him to Jason Kidd. So I think we got something going here, and if he goes in the draft, he's going to go high, but he may stick around for a few years. But keep looking out for Tyler Ennis. But for this week, I want to talk about David Stern turning the league over to Adam Silver because it happened yesterday officially. And so back in 1984, David Stern's first draft, I mean, he walked into a situation where he had all these superstar players. And in his first draft, he had Akeem Olajuwon worth the first pick. And I started looking at it and realizing what Adam Silver is walking into exactly 30 years later, because this draft we're looking at now in 2014 is a bonanza too. And so Joel Embiid is looking to be the first pick in the draft. That may switch up, but there's a lot of comparisons between Olajuwon and Embiid, both being from Africa, both being raw, talented players who came to the game late. Center's very athletic. And then number 2 in the pick in the draft in '84 was Sam Bowie, who ended up being complete dud, a complete jailblazer curse, basically. So we'll see if there's a number 2 pick who's a dud this year. And then back in '84, the number 3 pick was Michael Jordan. And then, of course, everyone's saying the word Maple Jordan, the name I hate, talking about Andrew Wiggins, who may go 2 or 3 in the draft. And then, I mean, looking at this draft in '84, Charles Barkley was in that draft, John Stockton, Rick Carlisle, who's from Potsdam, New York, near my hometown. He's now coach of the Mavericks. And Mota, Oscar Schmidt from Brazil, the powerhouse international player, was in that draft too. And so looking at 2014, Adam Silver is walking, and you got Jabari Parker, Julius Randle, all these guys, and I'm sure there's some other gems in this draft. So he's really walking into quite a great amount of players coming in the league. So the kind of the mirroring of the 2 drafts 30 years apart is really interesting. So let's see what Silver does with the league in the next 30 years. He's got the car keys now.
Yeah, and just a quick side note about Joel Embiid. Did you know when this guy started playing actually basketball?
4 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2011.
Oh, wow.
This is just
played soccer before that, because he has great hands and feet.
Yeah, he played soccer all his life. He has the exact same history, career like Hakeem Olajuwon. Exactly the same thing. So it's really, it gets. You are so surprised when you hear this news and information, but you feel bad for those who are actually playing and practicing since they were 9, 8, and 7. But this guy just started 4 years ago, and he's just dominating.
Well, and that's why people are saying he has such a high ceiling, because he's only starting to realize his talent's already a 7-footer. But you know what? Like, this is going to be really excited when we're going to have our pre-draft show coming up, because all those guys that Mark just mentioned, like Dante Exum from Australia, Marcus Smart, like this draft has 5 or 6 studs, and after that some nice players. But the 2 guys who Mark just mentioned, Tyler Ennis and Nick Strauskis, both actually really climbing up. I've been watching a lot of draft leaderboards. Ennis has been in the top 13 or 10 in a lot of them, and Strauskis, people are talking about his ball handling skills, his ability to do more than just a shooter, at Mark mentioned in his latest article. And people are saying he could play some point at a certain point. His rebounding numbers are up, so he's going to create a role. I mean, anytime you have a serviceable skill in the NBA like shooting, you're going to have a job. And he's 6'6", good size for position. So the draft is going to be really interesting. There's going to be more Canadians, and finally guards, because like the last couple of years, like I don't know if you look at Team Canada, but it's just been like power forwards, max, Nicholson, Olenek, Thompson, Bennett, all these power forwards. So finally, we'll be able to flesh out the team a little more.
Yep.
Okay, so thanks for that one. Now, getting excited, Mota, I hope you have your fighting gloves on. In the post, and our referee, we'll call him for today, Mr. Mark Griffin. You want to explain people what's happening in this one?
Yeah, in the post is actual real questions. These guys send me. They don't know the questions up front that I'm going to ask them live on the air, and they have to give their answers. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay. The first question's for Mota. How is Anthony Davis, a long shot MVP contender, and not an All-Star?
Anthony Davis is the snub of the snubs of this All-Star weekend. If you can talk about Kyle Lowry, you can talk about Jeff Teague, you can talk even about Lance Stevenson that didn't make the All-Star, but Anthony Davis not making it, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, there are some guys that are in the West that I'm not going to name that shouldn't be there. He deserves, so it's just like last year when Stephen Curry also didn't make it, and this year he made it. I mean, I think it would be just a good feel-good story for next year when he's going to be the real legitimate All-Star. But this guy deserves to be there. And I agree completely with you, Phil. He has to be there. There's no way. And I think and I think they're going to give it to him just because Kobe's injured, so he's probably going to get called. But it's not the same thing. Do
you think it works against him having the unibrow? Because I feel like NBA Fashion Week or like you're getting into this. Do you think his grooming choices are working against his?
No, you know what? Actually, I saw a video about him and Kobe during Team USA, and actually Kobe told him to keep it because that's his brand. So. He's keeping it. He's making it like how people recognize him. So I don't think that's working.
Well, he's just been such a star on both sides of the floor, right? He's blocking everything. His little tip, he's a monster. He can shoot as a nice jumper, and he's just learning the game, right? Like you can see, he has a wide frame, long arms. He can put on another 15 pounds of muscle. He's like. My favorite player growing up was Kevin Durant, and I think that's what gets me so excited about him. I kind of see a young KG when I see this guy play. A little bit less on the intensity side, but he definitely has all those raw skills, the defensive stalwart, and like him and Ryan Anderson are so nice.
Yeah, they fit very well together. So, yeah, I'll give that to you, Phil. Good job.
Perfect.
Phil, your first question. Overshadowed by the Slim Reaper hot streak, LeBron promised to pick up his game. Do you think that the King will be able to deliver?
I think the King has been playing really smart basketball. I think they actually learned from San Antonio resting some of their starters the other year there, where he's just on cruise control. I think they realize they're playing for the playoffs. They don't care about the regular season. Like, I don't know how much LeBron James, outside of being called out because of this, which is kind of essentially what it is. Like, he's having a great season. Like if you look at his numbers, the wins, everything he brings to the table, his PR, like he's a fantastic player and he's up there for the MVP. But you're getting Durant on a hot streak. I just think the reality is that LeBron James is going to keep doing this, and Durant's going to fall off at a certain point. I don't know. I don't see Durant keeping this up. So I think LeBron James. I still think it's going to be Paul George for the MVP. But I mean, when it comes to LeBron, I don't think LeBron James has to do anything. I think he's still overall the player I would trust more to get a ring. So so I think LeBron James, if he wants to say this, he's just coming out to say, I'm competitive and sure, but I got the rings, baby.
I feel good when I hear this.
No way, that was actually the answer you're looking for?
Yes, that's actually the exact answer that I was looking for. So I'm not even gonna add anything to this because you were.
Uh-oh. I think we're agreeing a little too much. Okay, Mark, you got to do us one better.
Okay, so Mota, question number 2. Did Dragic get snubbed because he has too much talent at the guard position in the Western Conference, or his game is not sexy enough for North American basketball?
His game is definitely sexy enough for it. I mean, he has the same type of playing as Steve Nash, and you can't say that Steve Nash wasn't sexy. He was giving you passes that you don't even know where they come from. So that's not the point. You're
really comparing Dragic to Steve Nash, like he plays more 2 than 1. He's much more of a scorer. I don't know.
Okay, Mark, can you answer him, please? I'm not gonna.
Yeah, he's got a bit of Nash in him. I mean, his game, like he's kind of a mix. He's a hybrid 2-1, but he takes his passing skills from Steve Nash definitely.
There you go. Thank you.
All right.
No,
so on the same thing, how come he's not as popular as the other guys? Like,
When you have a guy like Damian Lillard and Stephen Curry and and Chris Paul, you can't compete with those. These guys have what you call the sexiness of the game, but they also put up great numbers on great teams. So there's no way for you to kind of to compete with those. It's like saying, okay,
well, he's putting up good numbers on a very surprisingly good Phoenix Suns.
Oh yeah, he's putting up really great numbers, but not as good as Damian Lillard and Stephen Curry and all these other backcourt guys. So yeah, if you would choose, I think he's number 3, after Tony, number 4 actually after Tony Parker. But for now, I don't think he deserved it.
Well, he's the number 4 point guard in the West, really?
To me, yes.
Hold on, are we talking injured players too? Because
injured, like removing, like if you take out from the list the injured players, So I'm removing even Chris Paul from that thing. So I would put. You're gonna think that this is blasphemy, but I'm gonna put Tony Parker, Damian Lillard, Stephen Curry, Dragic. And then I'm going to put someone that you might not like, Michael Conley. So,
Michael Conley and Dragic, to me, it's a good comparison, but I think those guys are definitely below the standard of elite point guards in the West. I mean, I'm trying to look for
points. They're putting 18.6.
Oh,
Michael Conley.
If I want to compare him, sure, I'll compare him to a Drew Holiday with the Pelicans. Very similar numbers.
Michael Conley has been playing awesome, but Marc Gasol is injured, and he's putting 18.6 assists per game.
Yeah, no, he is playing well, but it's tough. Like Dragic, you pick him over Ty Lawson, it's close, right?
Yeah, I would pick him over Ty Lawson because Ty Lawson is not that consistent. He has been playing with Denver for the past 4 years, and the coaches asked him to become that star, and he never put it up. So.
Well, okay, if his own team is healthy, is he the best guard on his own team? With Eric Bledsoe obviously being the other guy.
Yeah, he's the best point guard on his own team. Yeah.
All right, I'll go with that one.
Yes. Okay, Phil. Phil, your next question is: do any of the Brooklyn Nets deserve to be an All-Star Weekend?
I like their Plumlee guy, the guy off the bench, the rookie. Any of their actual players? Well, considering they're terrible, and no, of course not. I mean, obviously this is brought up to mention Joe Johnson, who's a huge waste. I don't know. I just think Joe Johnson's had his heyday, and he's really not producing to a level. I mean, Mark posted a nice comparison between Joe Johnson and Kyle Lowry, and I even think there are other arguments outside of Kyle Lowry, but I mean, that's one of the biggest snubs in the East. But I think Joe Johnson is just, I mean, if you look at his stats, he's having an okay year, but, in terms of points, he's at 15.6 points. 15.6 points at a shooting guard gets you into the All-Star game? Really? Shooting percentage, 45%, under 40 from threes. He's not doing anything specifically outstanding. I don't know. I just think that they were looking at this and they're like, well, we can't have a team that has Deron Williams, Brook Lopez, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, Joe Johnson, and not have one of them in the All-Star game. I think this was just a botch call by the league. I don't agree with this one at all.
Yeah, just the Kyle Lowry going. I don't know. It just explains how bad the coaching is in the East. For choosing.
Well, the problem, though, is that Kyle Lowry is playing for yes, they're good for the East, but the Raptors aren't especially good. They're 4 games over 500. Do you think it's because they already had DeRozan coming out of that team? If DeRozan had not made the All-Star team, is Lowry in that right now, and they just didn't want to pick 2 Raptors?
Actually, Kyle Lowry deserves it even more than DeRozan, but
I agree.
Completely. A different discussion, and Lance Stephenson also deserved to be on that All-Star. So you can't. And I know you like that because you're a big pusher of Lance Stephenson, but I believe that he deserves it even more than.
Anytime you play defense, I'll be your fan.
Exactly. So
I think if Portland can have 2 All-Stars, there's no reason Toronto can't.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
but Portland, Indiana, and teams like that are elite teams with very dominant records, right? As opposed to Toronto, who's just looking good in the standings because of how weak the competition is, right? Like 4 games over 500 would not even make the playoffs in the West. So
It's true.
it's tough. I mean, but yeah, like I think Joe Johnson is a waste. Although it leads to something interesting, right? Because when we're looking at Kyle Lowry, if he had made it, like imagine trying to re-sign a guy who is playing outstanding, made an All-Star team. Like it'll be interesting to see what they do with that guy.
yeah, yeah, it would be very interesting to see what, especially with the next year's draft. So we'll see.
Okay, so Mota, your last question.
Yeah.
How is the big fundamentals not there?
I would have loved to have like 15 players on the All Star weekend and in the West, and he deserves it a lot. But you know what? These young guys are coming up and they're taking over, so it's time for him to pass the torch to a guy like Aldridge and Kevin Love and Blake Griffin, even though they're not,
Anthony Davis.
and Anthony Davis, you know. So yeah, he deserves to be there, but you know the other guys are putting up better numbers. So it's also about the show. And this year, Tim Duncan have been not playing a lot of minutes. He's been saving. Popovich has been saving him for the playoffs. So
Well, it's like the same thing with the Heat, right? They're playing for the rings. They're not playing for regular season. Who cares? For sure, they're going to make the playoffs.
exactly. So I guess he's there, but he should be there if there was more teams. Not for sure, but if there was more spots. But right now, these young guys are just doing so well that you don't.
Well, that's actually a really good answer because, as I was saying, I think there is a resurgence of big men in the NBA. I think people are talking about all the point guards, but I think the talent of young big men coming into the league is just really something that I'm really looking forward to the next year. And I would almost argue that the talented big men are now starting to overshadow the talented point guards. But there's so much talent either way, argument to be had.
Exactly.
Okay, so our very final last question goes to Phil for In the Post this week. And this one comes from me, a little bit of history trivia. What year of his career did Charles Barkley make his first NBA All-Star game?
Do I have to name a specific year or like his first or second?
The number.
Fourth.
Mota, what do you think?
Okay, he started in mid-90s.
I have no facts behind my guess, by the way. Zero. This is all guess.
I would say his fifth year.
It was his third, and his second year he was 20-13 and didn't get in. You know, sometimes it just takes a while, but then he went on an 11-year stretch. So you know, it just takes getting the respect of the league, respect of the coaches, and things go as they should.
Yeah. So let's wait for Anthony Davis then.
I'm waiting all year.
Yeah.
And Mark, is there a last question we have digging around there?
Oh, that's it. But we did have a question of the week. So if you want, you can always send us questions on Facebook or Twitter or email us. And the question this week came from Bobby Zamalis. And he asked this question, and I get asked this on the streets quite frequently. He asked, are the Toronto Raptors for real? What do you guys think?
I'll let you go first, Mota.
All right. The Raptors are for real. I think it's been a long years for them to mesh together and to figure things out. And I think the guys matured now enough to know how the system works and how you should be playing. But they're missing a couple of things for them to be it, you know, to be that team that you want to cheer for. But it's getting there. And they are a legit team. What do you think, Phil?
I sadly don't agree at all. I think they've got some nice pieces, but I think they really need to trade Lowry just to get the hell out of the playoffs and get a draft pick. I think they really still are lacking that number one player. I think Valanciunas and DeRozan are great number 2s or 3s. Ross I really like, but I mean, they just don't have that guy. I just feel that, like, if you're telling me my future is, even if I re-up Lowry, Ross, DeRozan, Valanciunas, I'm like, okay, that's like the Hawks for years. You're going to make the playoffs every year and lose. So for me, if you're not going to go all in, I don't know why you're doing it. So I think the Raptors are a legitimate contender to be a bottom-dwelling playoff team as they stand. If they want to be a real contender, they need to take some more lumps.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just say, I mean, I just got 2 words. Masai Ujiri has turned this team completely around in 8 months he's been with this team, and they're going to keep going forward. Statistically, the fourth quarter point differential is a great stat. They're only behind Miami and the Pacers and how they step up to the plate in the fourth quarter. Obviously, they need to get more pieces, and they're a very raw team, but they've got a lot of stuff there. And I think Lowry would be gone, but this team is steadily progressing. Like Phoenix, they just keep moving up in the standings. I think they're building on something good here, and Ujiri's going to pull the pieces together.
Yeah, no, and I'll throw this idea to you guys because I'm a bit of a trade fanatic. I threw this one out on Twitter for people who missed it. I actually thought 2 situations that made so much sense. You look at Detroit, right? They have Andre Drummond, for sure he's part of their future. Josh Smith, unfortunately because of his contract, is now part of their future. They have Greg Monroe, an impending restricted free agent. How does it not make sense for both teams saying, you know what, Toronto needs that legitimate star. Greg Monroe is a legitimate star. I'll give you a guy like Patrick Patterson and DeMar DeRozan. I'll still have Ross in the backcourt. You give me Greg Monroe. It balances out the roster for the Detroit Pistons. Now you have DeRozan with Pope, with Jennings, with Smith, with Drummond. Then for Toronto, you have a nice young front court going forward of Valanciunas and Monroe. Still have Lowry if you kept them, and Ross. Does that make sense to you guys, or you guys not make that move?
That I would make that move. I like Greg Monroe. I was always a big fan. But it will all depend on Masai and how he sees. I don't know what his strategy is, because you would think that at the beginning of the year when they got rid of Rudy Gay, that they're the team that is going to tank to get that Wiggins. But
I don't think they meant to be this good. I truly believe that that the whole point of this year was to play your young stars. What they're doing with Valanciunas giving him minutes, giving Ross minutes, I love it. But I think the whole point was to say, hey, I'm just going to check out these guys in full-time minutes. Win or loss, I don't care. Like, he doesn't tank on purpose, being the GM. Yeah. But I don't think he expected Lowry to step it up like this. I don't think he expected Ross to step it up like this. Like I think these wins are almost accidental, and he's building chemistry, but I think it came more out of chemistry and just roles being defined better rather than what he was trying to do. Like, I really think in his heart of hearts, he wishes they were not in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody expected that the East would be that horrible. So that,
well, no, of course.
That helps.
I mean, I remember at the beginning of the year we were talking about the Nets potentially dethroning the Heat. We were talking about the Knicks being better, I guess, and then the Bulls being healthy and a contender. So it's like the whole conference is just tanked. Yeah, I know it says it. See, like, I actually cheer for a good team considering it's Super Bowl day. So it's the last day I'll be wearing this on it. But
you always cheer for the worst team. You always cheer for the worst team, but it's okay. We're not going to go into a Super Bowl discussion here.
No, we'll be good.
Okay.
All right, so those are the questions. So again, like Mark said, feel free to send in your questions anytime. We're coming up to the wrap-up of the show here. What do you guys have to look forward to this week? Mark, maybe I'll start with you there, because Mota and I were just going back over there.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something quick. We have a brand new partnership with this amazing T-shirt / graphic design company. They're called Pure Hoop out of Los Angeles, California. The shirts are made American Apparel, which is actually a Montreal-based company, so there's that connection there. I'll give you their website. We're going to put it on their Facebook page, and I'll put some info about them. They have really amazing T-shirts. We'll be wearing some of them on the show, actually. So it's purehoop.bigcartel.com. Really amazing stuff, and they're working on some more shirts. I think they're going to be doing a Slim Reaper shirt as well, but we'll have them on the show. Really great stuff, and it's really nice to partner up with them. And Mota, we got to talk about FIBA and this madness with Spain. Give us an update from over there in Switzerland.
Okay, so I've been seeing a lot of discussions around Twitter and on Facebook. To all my Canadian friends, I have two good news. So it's been the wildcard system for you to choose who's going to go to the World Cup, the basketball World Cup, is going to be abolished in the next World Cup. So it's either you qualify or not in the next one. So you won't have to wait and you won't have that hope. And also the second thing is that the bids, because each team has, for them to bid for the wild card, they have to give around $300,000. The bids are refundable, so Canada Basketball will at least get their money back. So that's the good news. So now let's go in a little bit deeper about what happened. In terms of FIBA for their World Cup, they actually they have 4 spots for their they call them the 4 wildcard spots, and they choose them based on criteria around the sporting and promotional aspect within the country. So how popular is basketball growing in their country and how it can impact worldwide the basketball development, and the commitment of their best players from that country to participate in the FIBA Basketball World Cup. Now, when you look at Canada's team in the summer, they didn't send their best players. They lacked, even Wiggins didn't go. So that was also another factor that they didn't let them, that didn't let Canada go in. The economic aspect of Canada versus Finland, it's debatable. They're very similar, but the only thing that Finland proposed is that, have you ever heard of Angry Birds? Pretty sure you've heard of it.
I refuse to play that game on my phone. I don't want you to ever bring that up again.
Okay, so you're gonna even hate it even more because Finland is actually.
I don't know if that's possible, man.
Hold on. The company that actually created Angry Birds is from Finland, and they decided to back up their basketball team, and they're going to sponsor their basketball team, and they're going to provide FIBA with a new mobile platform for them and help them actually promote basketball on mobile. Obviously, a lot of the associations and the big leagues are going digital, so that was another criteria for FIBA to go there. So this was a very, very huge deal for FIBA for them to pick Finland over Canada. When you look at the 3 other teams, obviously you have Greece, which is the number 5 in the world. You have Turkey, also number 4. And you have Brazil, which is hosting the 2016 Olympics. So those picks were set already from the beginning. But that last pick, which was Finland versus Canada, that was the one that was the dagger when Angry Birds came and shot their Angry
Can you
Birds.
name one player on the Finnish team? I can't, so I'm not trying to say I'm better than you. I'm just trying to say people want to watch people they've heard of.
We should have had Tim Hortons send donuts over. I'm crying.
Angry Birds versus Tim Hortons double doubles.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, I think it's also a little bit of business. Obviously, Canada right now is their basketball is growing so massively, but they had to show a little bit more. I think in the next years you won't even have that discussion of Canada not making it. They're actually going to be that team that everybody's going to be contending against USA. So this year it's slid. Next year, 2015, everybody is going to be competing to go to Rio in 2016. So hopefully Canada will put it together with Steve Nash, Jay Triano, and Wayne Parrish, and they will try to bring it home. So again, don't feel bad. It was a business decision, and that was my 2 cents on how FIBA picked Finland over Canada.
Well done, well done. Well, it's that time for another week. Hopefully you haven't stuffed your head full of too much basketball info. For everything, you can always catch up with us on hoopslounge.com. We like to post everything to make it nice and easy. You can go to contributors to find individual writings and works, and we like to give you daily things. As always, this Wednesday I'll be giving my my Off the Wire, which for those who haven't checked it out yet, it's nice and short, usually a 2-3 minute video where I go through the top 5 articles and give you the links to those articles so you can get your basketball info in. We like to have a little portal section to loop in all of our favorite sites and all of our favorite articles and writers. So I want to thank you guys again for another fantastic show. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mota. So you can join all of us anytime, hoopslounge.com, and join the discussion because we talk hoops in the lounge. All right, take care, guys.
See ya.
Go Seahawks.